Welcome to the channel. Trust me, I know it's been a while, and look, it's good to be back, good to engage once more again, and diving into personal growth, personal development, personal branding, and just tackling it. And yeah, happy 2025, happy new year. It's been a while. I feel like I've missed so much, but in all the time there's learnings, there's curves that we all enjoy, and ultimately here we are in 2025 with the first video done in 2025. Today I really wanted to speak about something that I was thinking about, I think, for some time, but trying to really dive into it and understand it much deeper. And one thing that I want to talk about is the difference between substituting and replacing. Yes, the difference between substituting and replacing. So obviously they almost seem to be the same thing, but in essence not really. And why is it so important for us to speak to those two differences or two almost common ideas? Is that as we begin 2025, there has to be an approach to what is it that we are substituting in our journey, in our lives, versus what is it that we are replacing. Some is more deeper, some is actually more alternating, and that is what is critical related to that. So just a quick definition of substituting: that substituting implies exchanging one element for another. So often the intention is to make the change, but without necessarily discarding the original completely. So in this situation is that what we really need to understand is that many a times when we substitute is we're taking one thing that is common and we're replacing it with something better. For instance, a lot of people have negative thoughts, whether about themselves, about their viewpoint, about the world, or whatever the reason might be. But those thoughts can always be altered. Those thoughts can always be changed. Those thoughts can always be exchanged for something else, because thoughts remain to be thoughts. But the question is, what thoughts do we give, or what thoughts do you have that either enhances you, makes you better, or becomes detrimental to you as an individual? So for instance, for you to be able to be proactive about this is when you decide to substitute negative thoughts with positive thoughts, such as maybe negative thinking with positive affirmation. And I know we find ourselves in almost a frenzy where we're like, I don't even know what I can do now, because these are the thoughts that I have, and these thoughts you almost feel justified to have. But in essence, it is no good and no to avail to you when you constantly harbor negative thoughts about yourself. So like in football, as I always make reference to, when a player is substituted, the player is a common factor. It doesn't change that they bring something else other than the player. But when a player isn't performing well in a particular contested game, they bring in a substitute who might improve the result that is intended to be achieved. So just like us, when we need to get to a certain end, to a goal, there are certain habits or substitutions that we need to do to get to the end that we desire to get to. And that is what the focus is. So it's just changing the tool that you have, changing the approach that you normally used to, and using a different adjustment that will somehow aid you to be better. Whereas with replacing is a suggestion that you completely remove of something that is to be replaced or brought in with something entirely new. That is now replacement. Replacement requires a complete shift, a complete change to what you've already started, to something that is much bigger. And then what we need to understand is that unlike Substitution is an alternative or something, but with really replacing, it's a total outright removal, an outright removal of what you had or what you have initially. And there's so many things that require us to remove. When you hoard, like if you hoard clothing or hoard items that you're no longer using and you feel the need to completely have them all the time, the impact that has, it really keeps you in the same position as an individual. So same mindset, same viewpoint of the world, same understanding of what you deem things to be, and nothing really changes. Nothing. So a replacement could be you procrastinating and you deciding to be an action-oriented person. So the things that you want to do, you do not wait anymore and say, you know what, I'm going to give it some time, I'm going to do it later today, I'm going to do this at this particular time. No, you totally change your approach to it to become an action-oriented person, and that will then give you the results that you want. If you wanted to get on with your studying this year, then you get on with it. You don't speak about it. You become proactive and put on an application, gather up your documents, send them through to the institution that you want them to, and then you start. If you want to start to be in the gym, you create a small schedule of yourself, or maybe even indoors or at home, where you have small exercises that you do, but you do not tell yourself that you are going to delay it until you get the membership of the gym. You start where you are and become action orientated, and you become a person that goes out to get what they want to get. And so the focus really becoming around replacement. It is not alternating like it would be with substituting, but it is more on a transformation. So it's a holistic transformation of who you are that leads you to become what you really intend to do. And understand that with transformation, there's a lot of sacrifices that will be made. There's a lot of things that you find yourself doing that, you didn't even think you'd be the one that does that. But the transformation is much more deeper because it uproots some things that we've harbored, things that we've chosen to be, and we are led to become people who are taking things on a new approach, on an exciting approach, because we want to see the different side to yourself, a different person, or rather the same person but in a different approach of how you see and deem your world to be. So substituting is more integral. It's more integration, replacing one part without discarding the whole context. Whereas with replacing, as I've said, more transformational, removing the old and establishing the new as a foundation. So when you decide to choose either or, you realize that this is not a one-day process, but it's a gradual thing, gradual steps that ultimately lead you to become the person that you've always wanted to be by choosing the transformational approach or the substitutional approach. But at times, almost as if they're deeply rooted things that we need to transform from, and they're there are things that we need to alternate that are close by that we can change and become better at looking at them. So yes, that is the video for today. Transformation, or rather replacement versus substituting. We'll do more videos of this, and I just want you to continue. It has been quite slow, but we're gonna get growing. We intend on growing. That's one of my goals, to substitute certain things that make me want to be focused on this, and replacing certain things that will enable the growth to this channel. So yes, I think this is a great foundation to begin from. And as you begin the year, understand that there are things in your life that need substituting. You don't really need to change holistically. It's just a mindset of how you see your world. Then you change that and you adjust that accordingly. And then with the replacement, there are friends maybe who are not yielding the results that you want, that you need to replace, because they're not going where you're going. They're not choosing to be where you are. And so the sense of belief and the sense of approach needs to ultimately change. So please continue to like and subscribe, continue to share, and yeah, great to have you back. Welcome back again to Spencer Speaks Motivation on Love. Cheers.